Hello. Today I would like to make my final update to my Tri-Stack Exodia build. I made a lot of updates since my last video, even though it was a short time ago, mainly due to my mapping setup where I'm using double 6-link heralds because they're really strong. And also, I bought pretty much my final pieces to upgrade this character. The only thing I'm really missing is magic corrupted jewels and a 100% adorn or something like that, which I'm currently at over 1 million tooltip for lightning arrow just standing still. With the adorn I might be able to get to like 1.3 mil, something like that. I've previously made um, estimations on upgrades of the build, but all these upgrades have been bigger than I previously thought, which is good for me, but a little bit, I don't know, hard to determine because we don't have POB. So hopefully this update will be shorter than my other ones. I'll just go through the gear first. So Widow Hail. This whole build revolves around, I believe, I call it the Exodia build because the Widow Hail plus Quiver is the final piece of the Exodia because it's broken as hell. So Widow Hail, it's corrupted, close to 300, I can get up to 310, and it is multiplying our quiver by a ton. And also we have like 10 different jewels that also have quiver bonus, and so I have like 520 or something like that percent. So this quiver is being multiplied by over 6 times, which is really good because it gives literally everything we want. Like every single stat on this quiver is broken, and it's basically a perfect quiver. You can mirror it if you want. The only thing not perfect about it is dexterity. It could roll up to 33, but dexterity isn't that good on this build since it's not our lowest stat. It doesn't give like that much damage uh, because dex is converted to accuracy and then is converted to attack speed, and we have a lot of attack speed. We attack like over 9 times a second. So that's the only thing that's not perfect about it. I'll define it a little bit, and then people that want to recreate this build can mirror it. But yeah, this is giving us, I don't know, 20 times damage. Like, this is by far the most important piece of the whole entire build, even though these other pieces are broken. Quiver, by far, in a way, upgraded on quivers are legit broken. So that's my quiver. It's good. Other ones, Black Suncrest. It's good. More stats and resistance. We get pretty much all our resistance from our chest because we want stats on every one of our pieces. So we put all res in a lot of our jewel sockets. Good rings, stats, and then I needed some all resist and chaos, so that's where I get it. Astromantis, good belt. Uh, Basically perfect corruption, hand of wisdom in action. And then the final piece is, since we attack 9 times a second now, our mana gets deleted. So this flask is pretty much required now, unless GGG nerfs mana cost. Yeah, it's mandatory if you have a billion attack speed, and it's real good. So this is the bossing setup. I'll go to the gems. So my auto attack just applies a 35% shock. That's good. These are the links. Not much to say about it. Lightning Arrow has a million tooltip DPS, one shots everything. It's pretty good. I link it with the best supports that I can. You can, if you're having mana issues, switch out Bullseye for less reduced mana cost Inspiration. But since I have this flask, I don't need to. Lightning Rod. Some of these two supports aren't very good. Maybe when GGG adds more sports to the game, Lightning Rod will be even better. But currently, it is these supports, and obviously, Lightning Arrow and Lightning Rod synergize very well with each other because it procs off each other. I'm expecting GGG to nerf Lightning Rod so that it is not affected by spells, because that's how people do more damage than me currently, because they proc it with different spells. I'm not doing that because, again, I believe it's going to be nerfed, so this is my setup. But if I were to cheese it, this build could do, I don't know, a lot of DPS, like 10 million, 15 million, 20 million, I don't know, a lot. War Banner, this is a good buff. I have 1 million tooltip right now. When I use it, I have 1.7, and it lasts 10 seconds. And you get stacks by and you get stacks by killing mobs. I don't really need any other auras for bossing, so this is my bossing aura setup, and it's linked with clarity because I still want mana, precision because that's converted to attack speed, and then cannibalism doesn't really work on bosses, but I don't really care. Wind Dancer, again, there's not really any auras that I want, so Wind Dancer is decent. I mean, when I'm at full stacks, I have 60% evasion, so that's nice, and then I just link it with more pushback and stun, because if someone hits me, then it procs, and then it can electrocute them. So that's my bossing setup. Now for mapping setup. Mapping setup, the double herald tech is very strong, and so basically how it works is Herald Vice does frost damage, but we want to convert it to lightning so it shocks, and when it shocks, it procs Herald of Thunder, and we want Herald of Thunder to do cold damage so that it freezes, so that it procs Herald of Ice. So they chain off each other. If you see my mapping video, I can shoot a single lightning arrow and it will blow up multiple screens. And since this is a stat stacking build, and with Hand of Wisdom in action and all the flat damage that I get, especially from my quiver, because my quiver gives like 600% increased damage to even to these heralds. You can see the actual DPS numbers in my map showcase video, but these do a ton of damage. And how they do a ton of damage is because they're 6 linked, I have a ton of flat damage, and also I use this helm. So this helm, I can socket in really good supports for both of my heralds. So I'm using Primal for both of them, and I'm using Far Shot for both of them. These are really good. They give like, I don't know, 50% more damage. And then I link Herald Vice with more AoE, Far Shot, more shock because, again, we want this to shock. Lightning Infusion, again, because we're converting this cold to lightning, so this is how we're converting it. Herald of Thunder, Cold Infusion because we want cold damage, Glacial because we need to freeze things, more damage, and Cannibalism because when I'm mapping, I don't use Banner, which previously had the Cannibalism, but this allows me to basically have infinite life because I'm blowing up screens of mobs. So I put this in for mapping, and then I turn off my banner. So I'm running Herald, and then the Dodge Aura. And then for my Lightning Arrow, I switch those up too. So I put in Cold Infusion because I want my Lightning Arrow to freeze so it can proc these two. Glacial because it, again, procking the Heralds. And then instead of, like on bossing, I'm basically tunneling into Lightning Arrow damage to have a million tooltip DPS. I'm basically using my Lightning Arrow as a support for my Heralds. Because if you go look at my mapping showcase, it's pretty much the Heralds are doing everything, and then my Lightning Arrow sometimes kills like rare mobs or whatever. So these two are freezing mobs to proc them, and then these two, Ice Bite and Innervate, when I kill mobs, I gain a ton of damage. These are basically, you can basically add on two, so when I kill mobs, I get 35% cold damage and 35% lightning damage. It's basically like having 8 Link Heralds and 8 Link Heralds. So, yeah, I think when the procs are up, my Heralds, one of these, I think my Herald of Ice is like tooltip, like 50,000, 60,000, something like that. It's insane. So that's pretty good. And again, this is, you need the helm because, again, I'm using double cold infusion, I'm using double glaciation, I'm using double, so helm's really good. And then obviously, since we're mapping, rarity is really good, so I switch out my attribute rings with some rarity. That's nice. I also like evasion on these rings, because again, it's being multiplied by my belt, and since we're mapping, we like dodging things. It makes me tankier. And I have 4.6k life and like whatever 50% evasion, so rings are nice. And then when I'm mapping, again, I want more cold damage because that freezes and then chains. So instead of intellect, I am going for extra cold damage. So again, if you want more details on gameplay, it's in the description. This build is insane. I'm not sure. Maybe it's a vocal minority that are playing this build, or I guess I haven't showcased my build that well, or people don't believe that uh, nerfs are coming in, and this build is pretty immune to nerfs. So some people are like, again, PoE is a hard game. It's complicated. Some things may not be straightforward, but uh, we get a lot of damage from a lot of different sources. So attack speed, I get it from the passive tree. I get it from the quiver. I get it from multiple sources. Flat damage, I get it from like 4 different sources. Or flat damage, I get it from gloves and quiver. Increased flat damage, I get it from like 4 different sources. Attack speed, I get it from like 4 different sources. So, uh, since I'm not getting all my damage from one source, I'm getting it from probably, I don't know, 10 different things. So if they nerf 3 of those 10 different things, this build's going to be fine. And although it may seem like it's similar to the staff variant, it's really not. But I guess we will see in the future when patch notes come down. So that's the build. It's really good. Maybe people will believe me that it's good now. Peace.